Hello and welcome to the Based and Built Masterclass. So, my name is Joe Jarrell, and if you're watching this, you're probably a Catholic man who wants to level up, whether that's in your fitness or in your mindset or your habits. Overall, there's something that you don't like about your life and you want to level it up. It might even be your spiritual practice. Well, good news for you. This entire course, I spent hours building this course to really make a holistic approach for Catholic men to self-develop. Because at the end of the day, guys, there's really no difference between fitness and some of your other habits, like praying the rosary every day or being able to achieve goals. It all kind of stems from how you collect your mindset and your thoughts, okay? And we're just going to go over everything in this course. I promise you, if you stay diligent, you take notes, and you implement what I teach you, you will change your life forever, because that's what happened to me, and the most Catholic thing I can do is give it to you guys for free and help as many people as I can. So stay tuned, and let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is the first module is going to be an overview of the entire course, okay? So this is video 1 of week 1, okay? And we're going to go over kind of the overview of week 1. Hope that makes sense. So what we're going to talk about is why this course exists. So I really do have a vision that we can win the culture war. I truly believe that in my heart. And I believe the secret to winning the culture war is the self-development of Catholic men. So as we know, the Christianity was Catholic for the first 3/4 of the history, and before Protestantism came about, and really we're the foundation of the faith. So if we slack, it's bad for all of Christianity. But if we self-develop and we're really on top of our game, it makes Christianity look really good. And obviously, Catholicism seems to be true. As Catholics, we believe that. So it's super important that we really practice what we preach and we slay it in all areas, because that affects Christianity so much. And why is that important? Well, really there's two ideologies kind of going on in the West, which is this Frankenstein version of Marxism and leftism, something called wokeism, and then, traditional Christianity. And those kind of seem to be the two ideologies growing, and there's a big fissure in between. So it's more important now than ever that we stay on top of our faith, but also practicing the faith and really practicing what we preach, okay? That's what I believe will win the culture war, because that's the best way to influence, is to practice what you preach. People see that and they're like, wow, this guy seems to really embody truth and beauty, goodness. I want to be a part of that. What is he doing? What's going on? It's appealing. It's the best way to influence. And if millions of Catholic men do that, we change the world and we save the country, okay? So what we're going to go over is how to actually set a plan to go after, because there's a plan that you want in life. We got to figure out what that is and then how to go after it. How to curate your life, and then putting everything together. Those three might sound kind of abstract, but they'll make sense as we go along. And this is a picture of my baptism 3 years ago, almost to the day. I got baptized at St. Casimir in Milwaukee, and Father John here was my friend, but also the guy who taught me about the faith. So anyway, not to ramble, but it was a very important moment in my life. All right, so if you're just coming to this page and you're kind of new, you can follow me on Instagram if you want daily valuable content that I give for Catholic men. I give, valuable pieces of self-development help. You can also follow me on YouTube under Joe Jarrell. And if you want more and you want more access to the course and to me, you can consider joining Tier 2, also called Based and Built Premium, which you will see in the links of the school community. All right, so what are we going to go over here? So the first video that we're going to touch on is vision. That'll be in the next video. Then we're going to touch on goals. What is it that we're aiming for? It's a little different than vision, even though vision is kind of what we're aiming for. Goals are going to be more specific, okay? The third thing we're going to touch on is habits. So what are the daily tasks that are going to get us there? Video 4, we're going to touch on creating a meal plan from the nutrition side. Video 5, we're going to touch on creating a workout plan. And then as later on we get into the course, we're going to touch on accountability, consistency, and then mindset, okay? So just a little bit about me. Again, my name is Joe Jarrell. I'm an online coach for Catholic men. And by now my ministry has helped 150 Catholic men lose weight or bulk up. 10 of them have been priests. I've competed in several fitness competitions, and I speak at Catholic high schools and Newman centers. I'm going up to UW Oshkosh 3 weeks to speak at their Newman Center as well. So I do a lot of things outside of fitness as well. So I'm really grateful the ministry's grown to what it has. Yeah, like I said, 150 Catholic men have been helped. And again, it started with just me helping guys lose 10 pounds, but now it's grown into this whole community, and I've got spiritual directors and other Catholic fitness coaches. So it's really cool. And my vision for it is to build the best online community for Catholic men on the planet. So we're on our way. All right. So just a couple testimonials here that make you see that I'm not just talking out of my behind here. This is Father Nicholas Fleming. He's a Catholic priest and one of my former clients, and he just is giving a nice testimonial here, offering a word of gratitude for me and the community. And he was one of our fastest guys to lose weight. He's lost like 30 pounds in like 2 months. It's crazy. So just an awesome guy, and I'm grateful to help our clergy. This is also a former client of mine, or current client of mine, Antonio, seminarian in Menlo Park, St. Patrick's Seminary in California. And just another testimonial here with some kind words, him talking about how I helped him make a plan for his life. That's a big thing I do, is help you kind of figure out your vision for your life. Because I do believe God puts in every man's heart a purpose. We got to figure out what that is. His confidence went up. He's more oriented. And overall just helped Antonio out here. So very grateful. And he's going to be a great priest, God willing. All right, so let's go over the course curriculum here. So like I said, we're going to start week 1 with just learning, kind of going over the overview of the course. Week 2, we're going to deep dive into vision. And then week 3, we're going to dive more into goals. Week 4 is going to be habits, and week 5 is fitness. So you can kind of see already the first few videos in week 1 are going to go over each of these at a high level, and then we're going to deep dive into each of them, because all of these are what are going to lead you to success. Okay. Now, this first week is going to be available completely for free in our Tier 1, otherwise known as Based and Built Free. And then Tier 2, you can get access to the rest of the course, also called Based and Built Premium. So you'll see the link to the premium community in the links in the school community, and feel free to join that if you want more access. All right, so kind of what's the goal here of this course? So the goal is to help as many Catholic men as possible get in shape and self-develop so they can be good leaders for their families and their parishes. Like I said, that's the best way to influence, is to be so on top of your game that people just feel your presence and they're just fascinated by what it is that you decide to live your life by and the values you espouse and hold true to yourself. That's how I was converted. That's how my friend was converted. It's extremely powerful. It's also the most difficult, but hey, we'll do whatever it takes to win the culture war. We'll do whatever it takes to fight evil and support God. Now, kind of the long-term vision here is, which I've touched on a little earlier, is when enough Catholic men self-develop significantly to where money is no longer an issue for you in your life. You simply attract the amount of money you want based on the person you've become. You're in shape, you're muscular, you're really not dealing with negative feelings or negative emotions. You're just on top of it in all areas. Extremely confident, financially free, in shape, all this stuff. You'll have the means and the courage to stand up against wokeness and reclaim our culture. Okay? You won't be beholden or scared or getting in your own head, filled with self-doubt. You'll be so on top of things, we can actually come together as strong Catholic soldiers. I know that comes up a lot, like a strong soldier, a crusader, but like genuinely, in this day and age, a strong Catholic warrior is someone who has all of these qualities, who doesn't have to be beholden to the left. And you can just crush it and you just be like, I'm not working for this woke company. I'll do my own thing. I don't have to do X, Y, Z. I'm financially independent. No, I'm not going to eat this processed foods. Look at me. I'm jacked. Okay, all of these things, that we can come together and we can reclaim our culture. Okay, that's my vision, which is going to happen, guys. We're already on track. Okay. Now, in terms of the course, you don't just get the course, you also get a bunch of things inside of school. So a couple things are, you can share your wins inside of the school community in terms of fitness or mindset or whatever. And you also get the chance, I have prizes, you get the chance to win 1 year of free access to Tier 2 and a one-on-one coaching call with me to take it to the next level, which is very cool. You can engage in the challenges I do to win free prizes in addition to the prizes that you get by leveling up. And obviously, you can watch all the course material available. This is my best stuff. This is what I've taken years of study and put into. So it's combining my skills with content creation, with all of the stuff I've learned about self-development, and I'm giving it to you guys. It's my best stuff. So I hope you get some value out of it. You really should. Now, 2 important things to remember. You don't know what you don't know. How much is that costing you? Okay? So the only asset you cannot get back is time. You can always get more money. You can always get more resources. You cannot get time back. Okay, so what you should always do in life is trade money, resources, whatever, to get more time. If you have a goal, the best thing you can do is reach that goal as quickly as possible because you can use that time for other things. Okay, it's costing you to not know what you don't know. So seeking out someone that can teach you, very virtuous. That's very good. And just something personal and that I would recommend to you is to pay to get access to information as quickly as possible in life so you can develop as quickly as possible. And then the asset you're not wasting is time, the finite asset. You're never wasting that. Okay? That's how I choose to live my life. That's how a lot of people choose to live their life. That's what I would recommend to you. And you don't have to pay me. You can pay anyone where you're trying to seek information or learn from their mistakes so you can progress quicker. Okay? Very, very, very important lesson that I've learned. All right, number 2. It's all your fault. I'll give you everything, but whether you act is all on you. Everything in life is your fault. Everything in life is your fault. Okay? You have to remember that. Take complete ownership for everything. The amount of money you make, the prettiness of your wife, the size of your house, the ability to pray the rosary every day, whatever you're succeeding at or failing is completely 100% due to you. Okay? It's bittersweet. That's kind of might hit you. You might be like, ugh. But also, it's a wonderful thing because you have complete control to achieve anything you want in life. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'm really excited. Strap in, stay tuned. And one other thing before we move on, how to get support. If you want to talk to me, you can post questions in the school community, and myself with one of the other coaches will help you out. Now, in Based and Built Premium, Tier 2, we do live coaching calls every week, including me. So you can talk to me every single week, one-on-one. And then also in the premium version, you get direct messaging to priests and other coaches, as well as myself. So if you need spiritual direction, we have that available in the premium community. So that's how you get support. But yeah, like I was saying, stay tuned, strap in, take notes, stay completely focused, and don't be distracted when you're watching these videos so you can get as much out of it as you can. And I'm super excited to learn with you. So I will see you in the next video. All right, what's going on, guys? This is video 2 of the Based and Built Masterclass course. I'm super excited to go over this one with you. And this might be the most important video in the whole course because without this, you don't have anything, okay? Keep in mind the lesson that fuzzy targets don't get hit, right? Or maybe another one would be like a ship doesn't set sail without a destination, kind of these ideas. Super important. I'm really excited to get into it. And yeah, so video 2 is called Vision. What's our dream, okay? And we're still in week 1 getting started. This is like the first module of the course, okay? So this video is on what is your dream? What is your vision? What's our thing that we're striving for? Maybe what Robert Greene would call our life task, what Napoleon Hill would call like your purpose, your definitive purpose, something like that, okay? When we discern on our vocation, we choose priest or husband. There's actually, and you know, maybe one of the other two, religious or, the fourth one, which I always forget, where you're a single guy, but is it consecrated brother? I can't remember. A single guy, didn't get married or join the priesthood. Anyway, typically, if you choose husband, though, which is the most common one, there's like another step of discernment, which is your labor. What are you doing with your labor? What are you going to do? God gave you certain gifts and talents. How are you going to use those to most effectively evangelize and serve God? That's really important. Most guys just work their 9 to 5, 4 years goes by, and then they didn't do anything. Okay, so we're going to get into why and how to create a vision. Now, again, if you want more info on me and you want more access to me, you can follow me on Instagram at joegerald_. I give pretty much daily valuable content for Catholic men. You can also follow me on YouTube at Joe Gerald, or if you want more information, more access to the course and more access to me, you can consider joining Tier 2, otherwise known as Based and Built Premium, and you'll find the link to that in the school community. All right, so before we get into talking about vision, I want to explain a quick story about my life. So I'm an online fitness coach, but I wasn't always. My undergrad was electrical engineering, and then I didn't want to do that, and so I went to law school, even though I didn't really want to do that. So for like the middle of my 20s, probably 24 to 26, I hated my life. 23 to 26, I hated my life because I was living for other people. I was doing things I didn't really want to do, like drink at the bars or the clubs with my friends. I watched the Netflix shows that were popular. I was just living for other people. My dad wanted me to be an engineer, so I went to engineering school, and then my mom wanted me to be a lawyer, so I went to law school. And I'm just not living as Joe. Why? Well, because it's super easy, right? It's easy to just do what you're told. It's easy to pay a bunch of money to a college because you don't really pay it yet. You just sign a piece of paper, and you get to go, and they tell you what to do. It's just easy. But deep down, I hated my life. Okay, I didn't like the man I was. So I knew I had to make a change, and this change came really at the climax of the end of my first year of law school, where, remember, I got an engineering degree I hated, or, maybe not hated, but I had no interest in, and then I worked for a little bit, and then I went to law school, even though I didn't want to be a lawyer. So I'm spending all this money, I'm doing things I don't enjoy, and by the end of my first year of law school, I'm reaching this climax where I'm like, I can't keep doing this, I have to change. Now, I was into fitness by then, and I was doing competitions, and so I'm like, you know what? I love the faith, love Christ. I'm into fitness. Why don't I help Catholic men get in shape? Now, this is a massive change from law school, but I decided I had to do it, so I dropped out of law school, and I started an Instagram account called Based and Built Here. This was last May, and I just started helping Catholic men. Now, after 3 months of this, so May 2023 to August 2023, or what is this? Yeah. Oh, to March. So yeah, that's right. So I started in January and up to March. I had made, oh no, I'm sorry. This makes sense. Okay. So from April to July. So I started the business in April, and all the way to July, I had made $3,000, which is not a lot of money in 3 months. Things were not going well, but I had pursued my dream. So I was happy. I couldn't buy all my groceries, but I had pursued my dream. So what I did is I started to panic, and I was like, I need to change. This is great that I'm doing this, but there's got to be a better way, right? And that's when I came across my mentor, Brian Mark, who ended up becoming my mentor. He saw him on Instagram, and he was someone who helped people grow their Instagram accounts and coach people. So I hired him. I said, help me out. I'm broke, but I have this dream. And we got to work. He introduced me to his community, and one of the first things he did was tell me to create a vision. I'll get into this more in a little bit. But just take it from me that after I created this vision of my life and I stuck to it, it worked, okay? My entire life changed. I met the girl of my dreams. I met Brian Mark here. I became jacked. I made more money than I know what to do with. I am traveling to Rome. I started a podcast. I speak at Newman Centers. I speak at high schools. My whole life changed in less than 12 months. And the massive thing I changed was that I created a vision for my life. I got crystal clear on exactly what I wanted out of life. And every morning I woke up and I did just that. I went towards the thing I wanted. Okay? Why does this help? Why did this work? There's a secret, and it's that we pretty much get and become what we think about. We pretty much get what we become and think about. So our thoughts lead to feelings, and our feelings lead to actions, and then the actions we take give us the life we're living. So everything starts with what we think about. So if you think about pornography a lot, you're probably going to struggle a lot with lust. If you pray a ton, you're probably going to be pretty pious and loving and grateful. If you're broke, you probably think about fear of poverty and struggling with money and nervousness a lot. If you're rich, you probably think a lot about not worrying about money and abundance and giving and loving, doing great things, okay? They're all related. And this isn't woo-hoo like spirituality. This is just genuinely how our actions work based on our thoughts. Now you can imagine if you don't have a vision, how do you know what to think about? You don't. You're just going to live life drifting back and forth. And then a year goes by, and then 5, and you really haven't changed. Your body still kind of looks the same. Your bank account still kind of looks the same. And your dreams and aspirations aren't that close to being accomplished. So we need to create a vision, okay? This will be the single most important thing you do pretty much in your life, okay? So we're going to do it. this is my life vision. And I want to walk you through why I chose all of this. So this is what I look at every day, multiple times a day. And all of these have a lot of importance to me. So we'll start with this. This is Wes Watson. He's a life coach. He was the first coach I ever hired way back when I was like 21, before I was Catholic, before any of this. And I hired him for fitness. And I failed basically his program. I was like, this is the workouts are like too hard and I don't like eating healthy food. So I failed. And I had to like tell him like, oh, I don't have enough money, like student loans, sorry, blah, blah, blah. And so I quit. And it was one of the most disappointing times in my life. I was like, I'm better than this. So I have this vision. He's also a speaker, a coach, and not Catholic. I think he's Protestant. But I have this dream of meeting him one day on stage and saying, hey, you were the first one that introduced me to fitness, and I failed, but I want you to know you sowed the seeds of what I became today, and here I am. Okay, that's just a vision of mine. It's something I want to accomplish. This is Andy Elliott. He's another coach in my industry, and he's jacked. And when I'm, maybe just take a step back for a sec. This is the vision for when I'm 52, so a 25-year vision. Okay, so just keep in mind the time horizon we're thinking of. This is a 25-year vision board. So when I'm 52, I want to be jacked as well. That would be a nice dream of mine. So I keep it here. I want $1 billion net worth by the time I'm 52. Now, I want this not for the sake of having money to sit on, like a dragon in mythology. I want it because no money, no mission. It's hard to make a massive impact in this world without a bunch of money or a bunch of power. And in capitalism, they tend to go hand in hand. So I want lots of money so I can impact the world towards Christianity. I'm very happy Word on Fire, at least in 2024, is doing 12 to 15 million a year. That makes me happy. I like that. More money, more mission, more power. And someone's got to have the power. Might as well be some based Catholic men, okay? I want to run my own conferences, all right? I don't want to speak at Seek. I want to have my own conference that outperforms Seek, okay? I want to speak in front of thousands of people because I feel like that's what God calls me to. I want to be a massive force in the culture war. I want all my kids to be Catholic. It's funny, you'll see my like a pretend family here, but they have masks on. Didn't notice that when I first built the vision, and now it's kind of a joke that like I just never caught. I don't know why they have masks on, but it has nothing to do with my vision. But I want all my kids to be Catholic. I want my family to come to Mass with me. I want my entire family to live near each other. Right now they're all across the country, and I don't see them much, and I want to have enough wealth to help them live near me, or at least live near each other. And then I want 100 million followers on Instagram. Again, for the same reason for the $1 billion net worth, no money, no mission, no influence, no impact. I want to reach a lot of people. So this is my life vision, and this is what I work towards every single day of my life. I'm so clear, so focused on it. I would be absolutely shocked if I don't achieve these things because of my willpower. I just daily, every single day. Joe, you want to go to the club? No, I have a vision. Boom, boom, boom. Give me 25 years from that. 25 years of that, what's going to happen? This is going to happen. So when you're building your vision, consider these 4 areas: health, wealth, relationships, and self. Health, how do you want to look, feel, weight? Wealth, what do you want to own? Relationships, who do you want to be surrounded by and how so? Do you want to be tight with your mom? Do you want to have a loving wife? And then self, what type of man do you want to be? Okay? Do you want to be caring, grateful, disciplined, integral, meaning you practice what you preach. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. Now, I recommend creating a vision about 25 years out. Okay? If you want to go longer, cool. Don't go any shorter. Okay? You need to have a long time horizon. What are we striving for our entire life? And when you're creating it, consider these questions. What life do you want to have lived 20, 30, 40? What do you want to have done? What kinds of people do you want to be surrounded by? Who do you believe you are capable of in life? Tony Robbins is the most famous speaker in the world. If he could do it, I could do it. And we might as well have me do it because I'm Catholic and Tony's not. It'd probably be good if the most famous speaker in the world is like super based and Catholic. I think that's good for the world. I don't know about you. What do you believe you're capable of in life? Secret is a lot. What do you wish you could change about the world? I hate leftism. I hate wokeism. I think it's literally an evil ideology, and it's destroying the greatest country that was ever conceived. So I want to defeat that. Why can't I? Of course I can. I can do whatever I want. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Defeat the left. Easy peasy. When you die, what do you want people to say and remember about you? Probably the same things that are put on tombstones. A good dad, a loving husband, things like that. Put that on your board if that's important to you. I want you to take this seriously. This isn't a goal you've set. This is literally aligning what God wants for you for this life. Okay, you only get one shot. Let's orient it towards what God is calling you to and work on that every single day. It's in your heart. You already know what your vision is. It's there. You just have to think about it. You have to have the courage to listen. Now, here's a quick exercise. We're going to make a quick vision about fitness, okay? Because I know this is like a fitness community, and I do want to align it to fitness at times. So in 20 years, what do you want your body to look like? How do you want it to feel? Why do you want this? Think deeply about this, okay? Why is this important to you? You could also ask yourself, like, what kind of momentum would that build in life if you were able to have like a six-pack when you're 50? That would probably influence your family a lot. Your children wouldn't have to be convinced of like eating healthy. They would just look to you as an example, okay? Now, if you wanted a link, I'm going to drop this in the in the notes below the video. But here's a templated video, a templated like board that I would recommend size-wise for creating your vision. So it's just a blank board, and you can input on Canva. Canva's free. You can just input photos, and that's what I do. So that is the way in which you make your vision board. I do recommend using pictures. Words just aren't enough. And then I actually recommend putting it on your wall and looking at it every day, or printing it off and keeping it in your wallet. One of those two things. So now what? You've created your vision. Print it off, like I said, place it on your wall. Look at it every day. Think about it constantly. Remember the secret that I told you in the beginning of the video. We really become what we think about. Which means if you think about your vision all the time, you're going to achieve most of those things probably. Because what you think about leads to feelings. Feelings lead to your actions, and then actions compounded put us in new circumstances. So you don't have to believe the woohoo, like, I'm manifesting a vision. We don't have to get into all that. Just know what we think about leads to our actions. That's pretty simple. We don't have to get into heresy or anything by doing that. Just focus on that, and you'll change your life. All right, guys, I hope this was valuable. Take it from me, that's one of the most important things you can do in your life is create a vision. So pause before continuing the course and go do that. I'll drop the link for Canva below, and then once you're all done with that, I will see you in the next video. God bless. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is video 3 in the Based and Built Masterclass. Super excited for this one. We're going to touch on goals. Okay, so we've talked about the vision, and now we're going to talk about the goals to kind of get us to the vision. Okay, so it's kind of like step 2 in this process. All right, so video 3 is called Goals. What do we want specifically? We know what we want from the vision. Now let's specify it a little more. And again, we're in the week 1 getting started overview. All right, now before we get started, feel free to follow me on Instagram for daily valuable content for Catholic men at JoeJarrell_. You can also follow me on YouTube under the title Joe Jarrell. And then if you want more info from the course, you want more access to me, access to spiritual directors and other coaches, feel free to consider joining Tier 2 or Based and Built Premium. You'll find the link for that in the school community. All right, let's get started. So I want to start with one of the most interesting stories in the world. The story of Charlie's life. This is Charlie here with rosy cheeks. So Charlie is an American kid, and he went to school, and he went to public school, graduated high school, and then his teacher said it would be a good idea for him to go to college, and so did his parents. So Charlie decided to go off to college, and he went to a public university and majored in something pretty common, like business. And then Charlie thought it would be a good idea to get a job after college, so he graduated and did okay, and then got a job at a big company, we'll say Amazon, okay? So Charlie's basically followed the path of a lot of American guys, kind of doing what he's supposed to do here and doing what's kind of expected of him. So Charlie continued to work at Amazon and sort of rose through the ranks a little bit. He would go to work, and then he would come home, watch, Netflix, scroll on his phone a little bit, maybe DoorDash some food, and then he would go to bed. He did this for a while, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then saved up a little money, met a woman off of, we'll say, Hinge, and then got married, and stayed at Amazon because, hey, they had 80/20 health insurance, and they matched his 401k. So he said, yeah, why not? We'll just stay here. Well, he started to continue to stay at Amazon and stayed married to his wife, and he would get home. He would say to his wife, I'm kind of tired, so he'd sit and watch a little TV, turn on the TV and sit there for a few hours, maybe a couple hours, scroll on his phone while he's watching TV. She might bring him some dinner, and then, he would eventually, she'd come in and say, it's probably time you go to bed. So he'd turn off the TV, and he would go to bed, and then he would repeat that pretty much every day for about 30 years. And then one day he decides to retire because what else are you going to do? He'd saved up a little money, and he was ready to do that. So he retires at 70, let's say, because, he didn't save that much money, so it took him a little while. And then after 70, he kind of putzed around, didn't do a whole lot, looked forward to the grandkids calling, but, other than that, continued to watch TV and whatnot. And then he died at 86. And there's Charlie on the right. So this is the story of Charlie's life. I want to ask every man listening to this video, is there a tragedy here? Did that story invoke a tragedy? Well, it did create a tragedy if that was not the life Charlie truly wanted to live. I would say Charlie never lived his own life. Charlie did what everyone kind of expected him to do. And there wasn't a ton of risk, and he kind of just went with the flow. If we were to put it into a word, Charlie drifted. He didn't really set clear goals and achieve them. He didn't have a vision he was following with unwavering discipline. He got caught up in the drifting of life, like so many men do, and then eventually just died without ever having accomplished his hopes and dreams. To me, that's a tragedy. There's a book written called 5 Regrets of the Dying. And it's a book written by a hospice nurse in Australia, and her job for years was to usher, old people into death, hospice care. Well, what she started doing was keeping an account of the regrets of the people that were dying. And then one day she decided to write a book on the top 5 regrets of people that were dying. Something you guys might find interesting is that regret number 1, this means the biggest regret human beings have, is that they wish they would have had the courage to live a life true to themselves and not for others and not what others expected of them. So in other words, they wish they would have just lived and achieved and gone for the things they wanted to do instead of doing what everyone expected of them. Isn't that fascinating? That's the biggest regret of human beings. And so guys, if you do not have a vision and you do not set goals and you do not work towards the vision, there is no reason to assume this would not be you. There's no reason to think that when you're 80 and you're lying in bed and you're like, it's over. What did I do? I just did what everyone wanted me to do. And I never came out into the world. And I was never able to give me as a gift to the world. And it's the ultimate regret. I will not do that. And I don't think you should either. That's why you're watching this video. So, if you don't live your own life, it will be your biggest regret. That's what I'm here to help you with. You go live your real life, and you're going to own it, and you're going to do what you want. Okay? And I'm going to show you how to do that. Very exciting. So what's the secret to living the life you want? It's goals. It's goals, dude. It really is. And we're going to get into the details of mastering goals, because if I just tell you set a goal to lose weight, why haven't you set a goal? Well, okay, you set the goal. That's not enough. There's more to it. We'll get into the details, but just know that everything revolves around goals. And if you do not set your own goals, you're going to be part of somebody else's goals. Just like Bron Ware figured out in her book. Okay? So, goals. So let's go over the goal basics. Goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Okay? otherwise known as SMART goals. It's a very standard foundational way to set goals, and it works perfectly. So a good example is lose 5 pounds by September 1st. Specific, measurable, we can measure that. Achievable, totally lose 5 pounds by September 1st, right? Assuming it's not August 28th. Relevant and time-bound, so you have a deadline. Talk to 10 women in 10 days is another example. 1 hour of adoration by Sunday. Form my LLC by the end of the week. See how these are goals that are following all of these 5 basics? When you set goals, you should make them SMART goals, okay? And here's kind of an example, since we talked about in the last video, vision. Your goals should be trying to reach your vision. So we can kind of see here, if my goal is to have $1 billion net worth, and I'm doing it through business, well, one of the steps I'm going to have to do is form my LLC by the end of the week, you know? Or maybe if my vision had like run a car wash business. Okay, well, one step would be form my car wash business with the Wisconsin government by the end of the week. It's going to get our goals are going to get us to our vision. Now, when you make your goals, and I recommend making monthly goals and weekly goals and then updating them accordingly, we should put them in a place where we can view them daily. Now, there's 2 ways that I recommend, well, 3 ways, with the mirror, that I recommend, okay? So on your mirror, you might have heard of, that's kind of a common one. If you got a goal of a weight, put it on a note card, tape it to your mirror. You'll see it every day. Another one that's pretty helpful is your lock or your home screen. So you'll see this down here. That's what I do every week, is I make my home screen my weekly goals, and I make my lock screen my monthly goals. And that way I see them, 150 times a day. So it's good for me. But another way, and this is an invention of my own, is called a battle plan. So I hope you guys can see this. It's a little small, but I want to explain what's going on here. So I keep a piece of paper in my wallet of my battle plan. And my battle plan has my life vision, which I've shown you. It has something called a 6-month vision, or a mini vision, which we'll get into that later, but basically it's like a mini version of your life vision that's more like attainable. It's more, we're able to like wrap our head around it rather than like winning the culture war. You can kind of wrap our heads around it. A letter to myself. So we get into this as well, but it's basically a letter you write to yourself about the man that you want to be in the present tense. So I am tidy. I say my prayers and I mean them. Goals for the month, and then goals for the first week of the month, or whatever week you're on. Okay? And then I look at that every day, and I keep it in my wallet. So I'm never lost. If I'm ever like, what am I doing today? What should I be spending my time on? I've already done the work. All I have to do is check my battle plan, and it aligns me with what I'm supposed to be doing with my life and how I'm supposed to be spending my days. Okay? Very helpful. So overview is to put them in a place, your goals, put them in a place where you can view them daily. Now, before you move on to the next video, I want you to create your goals that get you to your vision, okay? Just create some monthly goals. Or we won't start with weekly. Just do some monthly goals. Place them in a spot you see them daily. And one of those 3, the mirror, your phone, or a battle plan. And then update them. It's pretty straightforward, okay? And if you don't hit one goal, don't get upset over yourself. Figure out why you didn't hit it, adjust, reach for it next month. That is how you will reach your vision. All right? Pretty straightforward, but don't move on until you've created your goals. And once you're done with that, I will see you in the next video where we'll talk about habits, which is really the secret to accomplishing your goals. All right, guys, I'll see you over there. God bless. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the 4th video in the Based and Built Masterclass, and today we are going over, drum roll please, habits. So we've covered the vision of your life, and then we've covered goals, which are going to get us to the vision. But goals, just setting them, don't really get much done. Life is made in the moments to moments, okay? So what are we doing every single day to get us towards our goals, all right? How do we get to the goal? That's really what habits are. And really, habits are everything. So this might be, I know I keep saying this every video. I'm like, this is the most important video. This one might be the most important video, okay? So really pay attention here. Remove all distractions. Put your phone in the other room and take notes, because this will change your life, all right? Now, before we get started, if you want more information and more free, valuable content as a Catholic man, feel free to follow me on Instagram at joegerald_. You can also follow me on YouTube under the name Joe Gerald. And then if you want more access for this course, more access to me, more access to spiritual directors, other course material, feel free to consider joining Tier 2, otherwise known as Based and Built Premium. You'll find the link to that in the links section in the school community. All right. So before we get into creating habits and all of that, I want to talk about the importance of habits. Now, you might have heard of this famous story from the English cycling team, the British cycling team. It does a good job kind of showcasing why habits are important. So the cycling team was struggling for several years, right? Nothing worked. They were like a terrible team in terms of, like the nation competing in cycling tournaments. And then they hired this guy, which was, he was a specialist in coaching for cycling, but he had a bit of a unique approach, which was that instead of trying to make these broad sweeping changes, he thought they would make thousands of little tiny changes, right? So they adjust the seat to make it more comfortable to each rider. They experimented with different massage gels to see which ones were the most comfortable and were the least irritating. They tried all kinds of things, and they made basically little tiny improvements over time. And as these tiny, tiny improvements started to compound, the English cycling team became the best cycling team in the world. They won gold multiple times, and they became like globally recognized as like a phenomenal cycling team. So the lesson we want to take away from this is that incremental change, little tiny change, can compound into massive progress. Okay? Now that goes the other way too, right? If we have a bunch of little bad habits, they will compound into a terrible life. Okay? So this is the most important lesson about habits. Incremental change leads to massive progress. So how do we change our habits, right? If you're watching this video, let's say you're here for fitness, you have a bunch of bad habits that are preventing you from being in shape, having a six-pack, big arms, whatever. And you know deep down what you need to do, right? Eat less, move more. And you could YouTube all the things about how to do the exercises, and you could Google how to make a meal plan. But that's not the issue. The issue is, why do you struggle to fall back into the same bad habits that you continue to have? Well, we're going to go into why that is. So before we get into habits, the best thing you can do to change your life, to change your habits, is to start with identity. Okay? So if you want the habit of waking up in the morning and going to the gym every morning, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, what type of man would have the habits I want? What type of man would get up in the morning and go to the gym? Maybe get up in the morning, first thing he does is get up, pray a rosary, and then he goes to the gym. Like if that's the morning you want, don't worry about those habits yet. First focus on what type of man would have that. That would be a man who is pious, who is disciplined, who cares about his health, who wants to practice what he preaches, and overall who's virtuous. Right? Though that's the type of man that would do that stuff. Okay. Now the secret is to identify as that type of man first before we get into the habits. So before you move on right now, you identify as a pious man. You are a pious man. You are a disciplined man. You say your prayers and you mean them every day. Okay? Another example, if you want to read more, okay? We're not trying to worry about the habit yet of like, I'm going to read 5 pages every day. First, I want you to say, I am a reader. I don't try to read more. I am a reader. Okay? I'm not trying to quit smoking. I'm not a smoker. Okay? It's very important. Very, very important. Okay? So that's step 1. So do that right now. Okay. Now that we've changed our identity, we're going to talk about the 4 parts of a habit. So a habit is something you're repeatedly doing, and there's 4 parts to it. There's the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward. Okay? A habit could be as simple as you turn on the light when you walk into a room. So the cue would be what sparks the habit. That would be the dark room. The craving is that you want to see. The response is that you flip on the light switch. And the reward is that you are graced with light and you can see everything around you. Okay? Another example might be, you struggle to watch, or, you watch a lot of Netflix, right? Maybe that's a bad habit. You binge Netflix. Well, the cue would be that you get home from work. The craving is that you want to relax. The response is that you turn on Netflix. And the reward is the dopamine and the endorphins from the show because it excites you and it's engaging. All right, so we can see how a habit works. Now that we know these 4 parts, and I use levers to represent it, the reason I do this is because now that we know these 4 parts, we can start to manipulate all 4 parts to either make a good habit or to break a bad habit. So let's start with making a good habit first. So if we want to make a good habit, let's kind of break this down. So the first step of a habit is the cue. What sparks the habit, right? So if we're trying to make a good habit, we want the thing that starts the habit to be really obvious. Okay? So if it's like we want to go to the gym in the morning, well, we want our gym bag out in the open as soon as we wake up. So it's really obvious. Okay? Number 2, craving. So this is like the emotional feeling we feel towards the habit, kind of the internal side of this. When I say we want to make it attractive, what I mean is I want you to consciously think about how it would feel to complete the good habit and how it would feel to fail on the habit. So let's say continue with the getting up and going to work out. How would you feel if you went and worked out? You'd probably feel great. You'd probably build some momentum for the day. You'd probably be proud of yourself. You'd probably have more energy because you're not sluggish now in the morning. You might not even need coffee. Okay, now what would happen? How would you feel if you didn't complete the habit? Well, you'd probably feel sluggish. You'd probably be frustrated with yourself because you said you were going to do it the night before and you didn't. And now you're kind of disappointed. Now you're kind of starting the day off on your back foot with an L rather than a W. Okay, you can see how like we're starting to get our emotions into it. And once you start to get your emotions into it and you realize the pain of not doing the good habit and then the pleasure of doing the good habit, makes it a lot easier to do the habit, okay? So craving, number 2, is like the emotional side. So make it attractive in your brain. Number 3 is to make it easy, okay? It should be easy to complete a good habit. We don't want a lot of resistance. Okay, so with the gym habit, go to a gym right near your home, right? Have everything ready to go the night before. Gym bag is packed. You've got your protein shake ready. Keys are right next to your bag. Everything's easy. The gym's right next door. It's easy. Okay, you'll be way more inclined to complete the habit. And then number 4, the reward. So this is really important. How are you rewarding the monkey brain, the lizard brain, when we complete the habit so that the feedback loop is positive? We think like, oh, we got reward for doing thing, therefore let's do the thing again next time. And then the hope is that if you get the dopamine or let's say the endorphins, you get the endorphins after you get the reward, the hope is that eventually just the cue will lead to you feeling the dopamine and the endorphins, and then you'll want to do it. So as soon as you see the gym bag, you're like, oh, I want to do the habit, because your brain knows you get the protein shake after or the cookie after, whatever your reward is. So give yourself a reward that makes it satisfying, and over time your body will start to want to do the habit because you get the reward. Okay? That's how you make a good habit. And most people take one of these and do it. They only have one lever in the right direction. Maybe to quit smoking. All they do is think about, man, what would it be like to not quit smoking? That sounds great. So they handle, lever 2. But they don't do all 4. They don't, and this is kind of the second part, which is breaking a bad habit, which I can go to, which is just the inverse of all of these. Make the cue not obvious, make it unattractive, make it difficult, make it unsatisfying. And so if we're going with, breaking the bad habit of smoking cigarettes, yeah, maybe people will do lever 2 and think about how unattractive it is to smoke, but they don't make the pack of cigarettes invisible or make the smoking difficult or make it unsatisfying after they smoke. And so if we did that, we could, make it invisible. Put the pack in your car or really throw it away. That'd probably be the best way to quit smoking. Make it unattractive. We kind of covered this. Make it difficult. Maybe when you're at work, your go-to was to, drive to the store on your lunch break and buy a pack of cigarettes. Well, maybe you don't get to drive to the store. You gave your keys to your friend at work. So it's pretty hard to get cigarettes. And then make it unsatisfying. Even if somehow you accomplish the task of smoking a cigarette with all these difficulties in the way, somehow you punish yourself. And not like a sadist, but like you do something you don't enjoy so your brain is reinforced to not do the habit. So something like taking a cold shower that night, or you don't get coffee that day, something like that. And that's how you break habits. Make all 4 levers go in one or the other direction, and it'll be so much easier to curate your life. So I want to show you a process that you can use today to start making good habits and breaking bad habits. So step 1, create an obvious cue. Think of why it's attractive. Create a plan to make it easy, and think of a satisfying reward. So here's an example for you. Like we said, working out first thing in the morning. Create an obvious cue. Workout clothes go on the toilet seat. Okay? There's no way you're missing that. It's going to be a very obvious cue. Number 2, the alarm is a voice note of you saying how great it would feel to be in shape. Okay? This one sounds kind of silly, but you're going to be forced to think about how great it would feel to be in shape. All right, create a plan to make it easy. We'll put the gym bag already packed. Keys are near the door. Shoes are near the door. It's all really easy. And then 4, think of a satisfying reward. You get a sweet protein shake after. You do all 4 of those things, it's going to be way easier to go to the gym in the morning. All right, now the inverse, the process for breaking a bad habit. Make the cue invisible, think of why it's unattractive, create a plan to make it difficult, and think of an unsatisfying reward. So here's an example. Stop watching pornography when you get home from work. All right, make the cue invisible. The phone stays in the car when you come in from work. Then you're not going to be cute, because what happens? You come in from work, you're bored, you sit on the couch, you scroll on Instagram, one thing leads to another, and then you're on websites you shouldn't. So the phone stays in the car when you come in. All right, now think of why it's unattractive. Maybe the lock screen is an image of the Mother Mary to kind of remind you of how we should view women and how we shouldn't objectify them. Okay, create a plan to make it difficult. Phone is all the way in the car. I think that covers it. It'd be pretty difficult to go on the websites if the phone's in the car. And then 4, think of an unsatisfying reward. Even if somehow you were able to complete the bad habit, how do you punish yourself so your brain's reinforced not to do the habit? Cold shower afterwards. So you can just tell in your mind, anytime I watch pornography, I'm going to take a cold shower. Do all 4 of those, it's going to be way, way easier to break a bad habit. You start thinking like this, it makes you even wonder if addiction is as serious as they say. Maybe it's just really bad habits that are ingrained. So before you start claiming addiction, try all 4 of these levers in the breaking a bad habit direction and see if that works, which it should. So to kind of recap where we're at right now, we've covered the vision, what we want in life, and then we've created goals to get us to where we want to be in our vision. But then to reach the goals, we're going to lay out the habits that we want to have. It's going to make it like everything's just a habit. Like being muscular is just daily habits of like exercise or eating a certain way. That's it. Everything is habits. So the habits lead to the goals, and the goals lead us to the vision. So here's an exercise for you. Before you move on to the next video, I want you to pick one habit you either want to make or break, run through the process we just outlined, and decide on the 4 steps. Make a plan. And then execute it today, today if possible, or tomorrow to start building the habit or breaking it. Okay, don't wait. This is actionable value you can implement today as soon as possible. So start doing it. It'll change your life. Everything starts with habits. Okay. So just a quick recap. The tiny changes in habits lead to massive progress because the tiny changes compound. You can imagine if you did that working out thing and you built that good habit, but then you also built like the rosary habit, and then you built maybe like a mental prayer habit, and then like a meal prep habit. All of these things kind of come together, and you're a completely different human after a year. Super pious, super jacked. So they compound. 4 parts of the habit are cue, craving, response, and reward. Adjust each part of the habit to make it either a good or bad one. They're like levers. All right? That's everything, guys. Go make your habits better now, and try to make that process before you move on to the next video, at least for one habit. Okay? So go do that now, and I will see you in the next video. God bless. All right, what is going on, guys? So now we are getting into the fitness information. I've now given you enough info to actually curate your life. We know what we're striving towards. We know how to get there, and we know how to build the habits to get us to our vision, okay? Now we can start to get into the fitness stuff, because before we were kind of swimming up creek without a paddle, didn't know how to do it. Now we do, okay? So this first video on fitness is how do I control my diet? We're going to go over the nutrition side of things, okay? So before we get started, if you want daily valuable content for Catholic men, feel free to follow me on Instagram at joegerald_. You can also follow me on YouTube under the name Joe Gerald. Or if you want more info, more access to me, more of this course, consider joining Tier 2, otherwise known as Based and Built Premium, and you'll find the link for that in the link section of the school community. All right, so let's get into diet. So there's really only 3 things you need to know to control your diet, okay? And that's number 1, how calories relate to macros. Macros are otherwise known as carbs, proteins, and fats. Number 2, how many calories you burn in a day, you specifically. And then number 3, how many calories / macros you're supposed to eat. If you understand these 3 fundamental principles, you can stay thin the rest of your life. Promise you. It's very simple. The nutrition industry is like $100 billion. It's all BS compared to these three. Okay, they're all trying to not get you to understand these three, because once you get this, you realize everything else is just BS. All right, it's all for money. Okay, so the most important lesson of food. Let's get into it, which is this one: how calories relate to macros. It's very, very, very important. All right, so let's pretend we're going to use an analogy to understand this. Let's pretend we are at a factory, okay? And there's 3 production lines into the factory to create the power for the factory. So these things are let's say they're coal, and they're making the power to run the factory, okay? We got production line A, production line B, and production line C, okay? Now, let's say production line A creates 4 units of power. Production line B creates 4 units of power. And then production line C creates 9 units of power. So all of these are power, but they're making different amounts of power. And these two are the same, 4 units. And this is 9 units. So this is an analogy to calories and macronutrients. So let me explain. Instead of power to a factory, let's pretend this is energy to run the body. And instead of production lines, it's proteins, carbs, and fats. So proteins, carbs, and fats are energy to run the body. But how much energy? Well, 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. We'll call it like energy, 4 energies. Carbs, 1 gram of carbs is 4 energies. And then 1 gram of fats is 9 energies. So they're all kind of energy to run the body, but carbs and protein are only 4 energies, and fats is 9. This kind of makes sense, right? Fats taste pretty good. Why do they taste so good? Well, it's a lot of energy in fat. Our hunter-gatherer brain likes fats because when you eat a gram of fat, it has a lot more calories in it. Makes sense, huh? When you eat carbs and protein, they actually kind of satiate you about the same. Now, protein will fill you up more just because of how your body breaks it down, but generally, same amount of energy in it. So that's how proteins, carbs, and fats work. So all calories are either proteins, carbs, and fats. Is that interesting? So if you have like a calorie ball, it's either a protein calorie, a carb calorie, or a fat calorie. Very interesting. I remember when I learned that the first time, I was like, wow, I gotta like look out a window or something, lay down in my bed and like contemplate. This is really interesting. Okay, so just to kind of recap, macronutrients, carbs, proteins, and fats. 1 gram of carb is 4 calories. 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. And this is true for the rest of your life. If you want a fun exercise, you can go to like a label on the back of a like milk carton or something. And when it says how many grams of fat it has, multiply it by 9. How many protein grams it has, multiplied by 4. And how many carbohydrate grams it has, multiplied by 4. Add those 3 numbers up. It should be the calorie number that's big, bold numbers. It should match it. It's really interesting. That's how food is broken down. All food. See, they don't teach you that on, the magazines or the commercials. All right, so let's do an example because I really want to make sure you understand this. Assume I told you a healthy male should eat his body weight in protein grams per day. How many calories of protein should you eat if you weigh 220 pounds? Well, if you're 220 pounds and you're supposed to eat your weight in protein grams, that means 220 pounds, we should eat 220 grams. So that's step 1, pretty easy. Okay, now let's recap. How many calories in a gram of protein? It's 4. 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories, which means 220 grams of protein equals 880 calories. So that's kind of interesting. When you are like a healthy young man, about 880 calories, we'll call it an even 1,000. 1,000 of your calories in a day should come from protein. Pretty interesting. Now we know. Let's do another example. Assume I told you to eat 2,500 calories a day, and all of those calories should be split evenly, 33%. Remember, because now you know each calorie is either a protein, carb, or fat. So all of them should be split evenly between carbs, proteins, and fats. Calculate how many grams of carbs, proteins, and fats you need to eat in a day. Okay, Well, if all the calories should be split evenly, let's start with 2,500 divided by 3. That's pretty easy. 833 calories. So if that's how many calories, if there's 1 gram of, let's start with protein, 1 gram of protein 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. All we got to do is divide 833 by 4, and that should give us 208.3 grams of protein. Same with carbs, pretty easy. And then with fat, do you remember the number? It's 9. So we want to do 833 divided by 9. Oh, I don't think I included it. Well, 833 divided by 9. And it's actually going to be a smaller number. I can actually pull it up here right now. 92.6 grams. So this is a pretty common nutritional breakdown. It's about 92 grams of fat, but 208 grams of protein and carbs. So you get a lot less grams of fat to eat in a day, and that's because there's so many more calories in a gram of fat. It's really interesting. All right, so that's kind of the main rule of food, how calories relate to macronutrients. Now let's go over your total daily energy expenditure, which means how many calories do you burn in a day? Okay. Don't worry, the third principle is going to tie the first two together, but we got to learn the first two. Okay. So the first one is how calories relate to macronutrients. Now we're going to learn how many calories you burn in a day. So your total daily energy expenditure, how many calories your body burns per day. This amount is calculated based on several factors: your sex, male or female, your weight, your height, your activity level, and your age. Now, the equation is like complicated, but all you got to do is just Google like TDEE calculator, put in your info, and you're going to get a pretty rough amount. And literally, that's all you do. You just Google TDEE calculator, put in your info, and you'll figure out how many calories you particularly burn in a day. All right, so for me, oh, this isn't me. I am not 5'9". Let's take a guy who's male, 180, 5'9", moderate activity level, and he's 25 years old. He'll burn about 2,777 calories a day. Now, a male who's 220, 6 feet, sedentary life, and age 30, he only burns 2,395 calories per day. Why? Well, even though he's heavier and taller, he lives a sedentary life and he's older, so metabolism's slower. Pretty interesting. Now, we understand this thing called TDEE, which is how many calories you burn in a day. If you want to bulk up, you want to gain weight, you have to eat, generally, 500 calories more than your TDEE. This guy wants to gain weight, he's got to eat 500 calories more than that. If you want to lose weight, you have to eat 500 calories less than your TDEE. That's the general golden rule of thumb. So let's take it. This first guy, he burns 2,777 calories a day. If he wants to bulk up, he has to eat 3,277 calories per day. And this guy, the 30-year-old, he burns 2,595. If he wants to lose weight, he's got to eat 2,095 calories per day. Does that make sense? It's very simple. Okay, so that's how TDEE works. If you want to bulk, 500 more. If you want to lose weight, 500 less. So now, let's recap. We're almost done. First rule, first principle, how calories and macronutrients relate to each other. Second principle, how many calories you burn in a day. Now let's figure out how many calories we're supposed to eat. We kind of did that here, right? How many calories you're supposed to eat. But then the macronutrient breakdown of this, right? How many of these are protein, carbs, and fats? Then you're done. Okay. So let's do an example. Macronutrient breakdown. You're 210 pounds. Your TDEE is 2,800 calories. So you burn 2,800 calories a day, and you want to lose weight. Well, we know we subtract 500 when we do that. So our caloric goal is 2,300 calories. Now the question is, now what? How many proteins? How many carbs? How many fat grams? Protein first. Here's a golden rule. 1 gram per pound of body weight. So let's just go back real quick. We're at 2,300 calories. 1 gram per, we're 210 pounds, and the rule is 1 gram per pound of body weight. So 210 pounds, 210 grams of protein. Boom. Pretty easy. Now carbs. Here's another golden rule of carbs. Really simple. 1 gram per pound of body weight. 210 pounds, 210 grams of carbs. Pretty easy. Okay, lastly, fat. Now it's really easy. The rest of the calories are fat. So we've got that many calories left, and we subtract the calories from the protein and the carbs. So we have that many calories left, or 69 grams of fat. Pretty simple. You just subtract the calories already, and the calories left, convert it to fat grams, and that's how many grams of fat you have. So now you're done. You have your entire perfect macronutrient breakdown that's going to get you to your goal of losing weight. So let's kind of recap. You're 210 pounds now. You're burning 2,800 a day. You want to lose weight. Your caloric goal is 2,300. We know that because we subtract 500. And then your protein goal is 210 grams. Your carb goal is 210 grams. Fat goal is 69 grams. That's it. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, how do I, what foods do I eat? And, how do I cook the foods? Yeah, there's a lot of questions that we could answer with that. But now you have the plan. Executing the plan we can get into deeper. But now you know how to make your own plan. Fitness coaches would charge you hundreds and even thousands of dollars for this, but now you know. So go ahead as an exercise, go do this right now. If you're overweight, you can figure out exactly what you're supposed to eat every single day. So we know what we need to do, right? Figure out your TDEE, figure out if you want to bulk or lose weight, subtract 500 from the TDEE, and then follow the 3 principles, which is protein is 1 gram per pound of body weight, carbs is 1 gram per pound of body weight, and then the rest of the calories are fat. Figure out the calories of the fat, convert to grams, and you're good to go. So go do that now. And then for the rest of your life, you know what you're supposed to eat every day. It's fascinating. It's really cool. So I hope this is valuable. I recommend before moving on to the exercise video, which is the next video, go and do this right now as an exercise, and then you know what you need to eat. Even if you don't eat it, you know what you need to eat. Okay? So hope this was super valuable, and I'm excited for the next video, which is where we will talk about exercise. So I will see you there. God bless. Hey, what's going on? This is the 6th and final video in Module 1 of the Based and Built Masterclass. And in this video, we are going to talk about exercise. So now we've kind of figured out how to create a vision and a goal and build habits. And then we figured out kind of the nutrition side of things. Now I want to teach you about the exercise side of things, because we have, we first had to kind of go over the groundwork before I could teach you the nutrition, the exercise. Otherwise, it might go to waste. But now we know how to make a plan. So really excited to show you all of the fundamentals about exercise. So really, guys, you don't even need to hire a coach. You'll know everything you need to reach your goals, fitness or otherwise. So what we're going to cover, I want to cover exercising for looks and strength. Okay? A lot of people run. A lot of people do Pilates. As a man, I want you to have broad shoulders and a V-taper waist. Okay? That's what we want as men. Every man wants that. That's what we're going to exercise for. Okay? Number 2, I'm going to touch on creating a plan for you. How do you create a plan for yourself? And then number 3, I want to show you how to execute the plan consistently. Okay? Now, the good news is executing the plan consistently is kind of covered already in the habits section. You just build the habits, and you reinforce the habits, and you, whatever the opposite of reinforce is, for the bad habits. Right? We already covered that. So I'm going to teach you how to do these 3 things, and then you'll be ready to go to reach your fitness goals. Okay? Now, before we get started, if you want more info about Catholic self-development or fitness content, feel free to check me out on Instagram at joegerald_. You can also follow me on YouTube under the name Joe Gerald. And then if you want more info, more access to this course, you want more access to me and live coaching calls with me, feel free to join Tier 2, otherwise known as Based and Built Premium, and you'll find that in the link section of the school community. All right, so let's get started. So when it comes to exercising for strength, that's what we want to do, okay? There's a lot of different ways to exercise. There's aerobic exercise, flexibility, balance and stability, high-intensity interval training, low-impact cross training. For what you guys want, which is probably to lose belly fat, lose fat around your body, and build muscle, we want to strength train, okay? You might even hear the term hypertrophy training, which falls under strength training, okay? This is where we're lifting weights and pushing ourselves in the gym with weights. We're doing something called progressively overloading, which means when we lift weights in the gym, the next week when we come in there and do it again, we're trying to lift either more weight or do more reps We're progressively overloading our bodies. That's what's going to build shoulders, broad shoulders, a wide back, and a narrow waist. So there's a few benefits to strength training besides the muscular development. You're going to burn calories during your exercise, and you're going to burn a lot when you do strength training, which is good. You're also going to burn more calories after the exercise because your body's healing, it's growing, and your metabolism is going to increase. Now, a third benefit is as you increase muscle mass, it increases your metabolism. There's a higher metabolic rate with muscle tissue than with fat tissue, which is really cool. So yeah, the bigger, more muscular you become, the faster your metabolism is, which means it's harder to get fat. So because it requires more calories. So there's so many benefits to just lifting weights besides the muscle. It helps with fat loss so much. So that's why if you're overweight, the best thing I'm going to tell you, start lifting weights and pushing yourself. That's what's going to burn the fat. It's not going to be starving yourself. It's not going to be running all the time. It's going to be lifting weights. All right, so let's create a plan for you in terms of lifting weights. There's a few golden rules we can follow. So number 1, lift 3 to 4 days a week. Number 2, do a compound exercise first. There's 5 compound exercises. There's the bench press, there's the overhead press, there's the row, there's the squat, where you squat down, and then there's the deadlift. Okay? So those are the 5. They're called compound exercises because they work multiple muscle groups. So you want to start with that, get your body warmed up, and yeah, that's just a good rule of thumb to follow. If you don't know how to do those, you can learn, right? There's tons of resources online, but don't let not knowing how to do it stop you from trying, okay? Start light, try to learn how to do the exercise, have someone review your form, and just start learning. All right, number 3, do 3 to 4 accessory exercises after the compound exercise. Okay, so the accessory exercises are going to focus on specific muscle groups. So let's say you did the bench press, right? Bench press works, your chest, your upper chest, it works your triceps, it works your forearms. But now after that, we can start to isolate some of the muscles. So we can do dumbbell fly, which is isolating just this inner part of our chest. And we can do like tricep extensions, which only works our tricep. So you do the compound first, and then you start to isolate the different muscle groups. Golden rule number 4, do 3 to 4 sets per exercise. It's a pretty standard amount. We don't want to do too little where we don't fatigue the muscle, but we don't want to do too many to where we're there all day. Okay? We don't need to do more than 4 sets in exercise. And then golden rule number 5, do 8 to 12 reps per set. This is a good rep range to where you're going to be building strength, but also tearing the muscle enough to where it's going to grow, which is called hypertrophy. Okay? You start to do 15, 20, 30 reps. You can fatigue the muscle, but it's usually an endurance fatigue. It's not because the muscle fibers are tearing and rebuilding. Okay? And if you do too few of reps, like 1 or 2 reps, you might fatigue the muscle, but you're not going to be building the muscle or tearing the muscle fibers and building more muscle on top of it. You're more just building strength. We want that sweet spot, which is 8 to 12 reps. All right, so here's an example routine you can follow, right? So we want to work 4 to 5 days a week, and we want to split up the muscle groups. So maybe on Sunday we rest. Monday we do chest and shoulders. One of the reasons is a lot of exercises go together when it comes to chest and shoulders, like a pushing motion uses our chest and our shoulders, so they tend to be done together. Same with back and biceps. Pulling motions tend to use your back and your biceps, so those tend to go together because there's a lot of ways we can pull. Maybe Wednesday we rest, Thursday we do legs, Friday we do arms. Pretty basic, pretty straightforward, and then you can rest on Saturday. Don't work out on the weekends. So let's go through an example exercise routine, and we'll start with chest and shoulders. So remember our golden rule, compound exercise first, 3 to 4 accessory exercises. So we'll do the bench press, which is a compound exercise, dumbbell incline press, which works our upper chest, dumbbell flies, which works our inner chest, Arnold press, which works our front shoulders, otherwise known as front delts, and then lateral raises, which works our side delts. That's where you go like this. You've probably seen people in the gym raise their shoulders like that. And then remember the other golden rule, 3 to 4 sets, 8 to 12 reps. You do that and you progressively overload, which again means you're trying to push yourself each week, do more reps or more weight. and you're going to grow. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, that all makes sense, but I don't know what exercises to do. That is where ChatGPT can come in, okay? If you want to hire a coach, great, but you can do a ton without hiring a coach. You can actually just go into ChatGPT and put in this prompt, and it will get you the results you want. So here's what I say. Please generate a workout plan for me. Here are some important factors to consider in creating my workout plan. Sex is male, age 27, current weight, height, activity level, goal. The workout plan should include 4 to 5 days of exercise. Plan should be strength and hypertrophy based. The plan should include workouts that take no longer than 75 minutes. Put that in there just to make sure you're not in the gym all day. And the plan should include a combination of free weights and machines. So if we click on this link, it'll actually pull up the results, and you can see. So I typed this in, and this is the result. It gave you a full workout routine and a cool down, and it gives you all the exercises with the proper amount of reps. And you'll notice even here, yeah, they do 6 to 8 reps, which is typical to do lower reps for a compound exercise. But overall, they're staying in that 8 to 12 rep range, you know. This one goes a little higher. So there's tons of benefits to using AI. This is one I would definitely use. Implement a workout plan following all of these things, these golden rules I talked about. You'll get a perfect plan. Because remember, the secret is in the consistency and the progressive overload. It's not in the specific exercise you're doing. It's like a lot of roads lead to Rome. You just got to be consistent and grow and progress in whatever exercise you are doing to grow. So I hope that was valuable. You should have enough now to create if we're talking just fitness, to create a vision of what you want for your body, to set goals for your physique, to build the habits that get you to those goals, to understand how to create the proper nutrition plan to reach your goal, and to create a structured exercise routine to get you to your goal. Super beneficial. Now, if you want to go outside of fitness, you also have learned how to create a life vision, how to dial in goals for the month and for the week, and how to build tons of habits so they compound and create massive results. Okay, this is all in Module 1. Just wait till you see what's in the rest of the modules. I'm super excited to share it with you, and I hope you got some value. So if you want to see the rest of the course, feel free to join Based and Built Premium Tier 2, and you'll find that in the link in the school community. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all soon. God bless.